The morning begins not with a sound, but with a slow emergence of shape from the gray-white mist that clings to the ground. Here, at the boundary of the home, the world feels incredibly small and safe. The air is heavy with a quiet moisture that settles on every surface, turning the simple wood of the gate into a canvas of damp, muted tones. There is no rush in this light. It moves with a deliberate, slow grace, touching the edges of the leaves and the latch of the gate without urgency. To stand here is to feel the weight of the night finally lifting, replaced by a stillness that is both cool and welcoming. The garden does not demand attention, yet it occupies the space with a gentle authority. Every shadow is soft, every highlight is diffused, and the domesticity of the scene is reinforced by the way the greenery tucks itself against the structure of the house. It is a moment of pure, unadorned existence, where the breath of the garden matches the slow rhythm of a house just beginning to wake. The silence is thick, textured by the invisible presence of the damp earth and the cooling stones. It is a threshold of peace, a place where the outside world remains distant and the intimacy of the home begins. There is a profound sense of belonging in the way the moss grows in the crevices and the way the light seems to linger on the latch. This is the first movement of a day that promises nothing but the continuation of this quietude. It is enough to simply be present, to watch the way the fog thins and the familiar shapes of the domestic landscape reveal themselves in the growing light. Transitioning into the narrow spaces of the home reveals a hidden geography of calm. This path, tucked away between the warmth of the brick and the vibration of the green, serves as a corridor of stillness. The light here is different. It breaks through the canopy in scattered fragments, creating a shifting pattern of gold on the cool, damp stones. There is a sense of being sheltered, of being held within the ribs of the property. The world is reduced to the width of a few feet, yet within this scale, there is an infinite variety of texture and tone. The air feels cooler here, protected from the direct heat of the sun, carrying the scent of shaded earth and quiet growth. Each step along these irregular stones feels like a deeper immersion into the heart of the domestic sanctuary. The walls of the house and the garden seem to lean in, not to crowd, but to protect this pocket of air. It is a place for slow movement, where the eye is drawn to the way the light catches the edge of a leaf or the rough surface of a brick. The stillness is not empty. It is a full, resonant quiet that speaks of years of steady, uninterrupted presence. This side yard is a forgotten room with no ceiling, a place where the architecture of the home and the architecture of the garden have reached a perfect, silent compromise. To walk here is to acknowledge the beauty of the overlooked, the way a simple transition between front and back can become a destination in itself. The light continues its slow dance, marking the passage of time without the need for a clock, anchoring the house to its small, beautiful piece of the earth. Near the window, the garden settles into a state of absolute equilibrium. The stone basin holds a circle of sky, a mirror trapped within the weight of the earth. The water is so still that it appears solid, a dark lens reflecting the overhang of the roof and the soft, gray clouds above. This is the center of a very small world, a point of focus that draws the eye downward into a depth of reflection. The light is even and kind, casting no harsh shadows, allowing the subtle variations in the stone and the clarity of the water to speak for themselves. There is a profound domesticity in this arrangement. It is a scene that exists to be viewed from a kitchen chair or a quiet doorway. The proximity of the house is felt in the angle of the reflection, a reminder that this garden is an extension of the rooms within. The air is motionless, and the silence is so complete that the visual weight of the stone seems to hum. It is a study in gravity and grace. The surface of the water acts as a bridge between the solid reality of the garden and the ethereal movement of the sky. In this small patch of shade, time seems to pool and settle, much like the water in the basin. There is no need for movement here. The beauty lies in the lack of disturbance, in the way the elements have found a place of rest. It is a quiet meditation on the nature of a home garden, where even the smallest features are imbued with a sense of purpose and peace. The reflection remains unbroken, a perfect, temporary twin to the world above. As the afternoon begins its long descent, the light stretches across the wooden planks of the deck, turning the grain into a landscape of golden ridges and deep furrows. This is the edge of the living space, where the floor of the home meets the breadth of the garden. The transition is seamless, marked only by the change from the geometry of wood to the wilder, softer forms of the foliage. The sun is low now, casting shadows that reach out like long fingers toward the center of the yard. There is a warmth here that is both literal and atmospheric, a feeling of the day's heat being slowly released back into the air. The greenery at the edge of the deck seems to glow from within, the leaves catching the light and holding it, creating a wall of emerald and amber. The stillness of the late afternoon is different from that of the morning. It is a heavy, satisfied quiet, the sound of a garden that has drunk its fill of the sun. The house behind is silent, its presence felt in the solid line of the shadow falling across the wood. To sit in this light is to feel the slow pulse of the domestic day, the gradual shift from the activity of the morning to the introspection of the evening. The garden feels intimate, enclosed by the golden haze and the lengthening shadows, a private theater of light and leaf. Every detail is sharp and clear in the raking light texture of the wood, the curve of a stem, the dust motes dancing in the air. It is a moment of perfect clarity, before the twilight begins to blur the edges of the world. The light begins to fail, and the garden retreats into the cool, blue embrace of the dusk. In this small courtyard, the walls of stone and the walls of the house converge to create a vessel for the coming night. The colors of the day have drained away, leaving behind a palette of indigo, charcoal, and deep, shadowed green. The air is still and holds a new sharpness, a premonition of the night's chill. The domestic space feels even more enclosed now, a secret room hidden from the rest of the world by the gathering darkness. The textures of the stone are softened, their ruggedness smoothed by the low light, while the foliage becomes a single, dark mass of silhouettes. There is a sense of the garden folding in on itself, preparing for a period of rest. The stillness is absolute, broken only by the visual weight of the shadows as they lengthen and merge. The house is a dark anchor at the edge of the frame, its windows reflecting the last, faint glow of the western sky. This is the hour of transition, where the garden ceases to be a place of growth and becomes a place of dreams. The enclosure of the courtyard provides a profound sense of security, a feeling of being tucked away from the vastness of the outside world. It is a quiet, domestic fortress, where the only movement is the slow, inevitable deepening of the blue. The silence is profound, a heavy blanket that settles over the stones and the leaves, marking the end of the day's long narrative. In the deep corner of the garden, a metal bench sits as a silent witness to the changing light. The The twilight has turned the dark iron into a silhouette against the fading colors of the shrubs. There is a dampness in the air now, a fine mist that coats the metal and the leaves in a layer of cool moisture. The bench feels like a permanent fixture of the landscape, something that has grown out of the earth along with the roots and the stones. The light is so dim that the blossoms on the nearby branches seem to float in the air, disconnected from their stems. This is the most intimate part of the property, a place designed for a single person to sit and disappear into the shadows. The scale is perfectly domestic, sized for the quiet moments that happen between the tasks of a life. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth and the subtle, spicy fragrance of the evening garden. There is no movement here, not even the rustle of a leaf. The world has narrowed to this single corner, this single piece of furniture, and the vast, quiet space of the encroaching night. The silence is a physical presence, something that can be felt in the chest. It is the piece of a home that is fully at rest, where the garden serves as a final, quiet room before sleep. The bench, cold and still, remains an invitation to a stillness that is rarely found in the world outside these walls. The blue of the night deepens, and the metal of the bench begins to vanish into the dark. The night has fully arrived, but the garden is not entirely dark. From a nearby window, a warm amber light spills out, catching the surface of a small pond tucked near the house. The water is a dark, liquid mirror, distorting the golden reflection into a series of shimmering, horizontal lines. This light is a bridge between the interior warmth of the home and the exterior cool of the garden. It provides a focal point in the darkness, a reminder of the life that exists just beyond the glass. The air around the water is heavy and still, holding the cool temperature of the night. The edges of the pond are lost in shadow, making the glowing water seem like a hole cut into the floor of the world. There is a rhythmic quality to the light, even though nothing is moving. The way it settles on the surface of the water feels like a pulse. The scale of the scene is tiny, a miniature landscape that exists within the footprint of a residential life. The garden has become a place of mystery, where the familiar shapes of the day are replaced by the interplay of artificial light and natural shadow. The stillness is punctuated by the visual hum of the reflection, a quiet energy that doesn't break the peace but enhances it. It is a moment of profound domestic tranquility, where the safety of the home extends its light into the dark, welcoming the garden into the circle of the family's evening. The water holds this light with a gentle tenacity, a golden secret kept in the heart of the night. The world returns in shades of blue. Before the sun has cleared the horizon, the garden exists in a state of suspended animation. On the stone patio, a cluster of terracotta pots stands in a quiet formation, their curved shapes catching the first, faint light of the blue hour. The clay is dark and saturated from the night's dew, its natural red deepened into a rich, earthy crimson. They sit near the back door, a domestic arrangement that speaks of daily rhythms and quiet chores. The light is shadowless and soft, revealing every pore in the ceramic and every grain in the stone. There is a sense of anticipation in this air, a quiet waiting for the day to truly begin. The house is still silent, its presence a dark mass behind the door. The garden is a series of still lives, of objects and plants held in the cool, blue clarity of the morning. The stillness is different here than it was at dusk. It is lighter, more expectant. The air is fresh and clean, carrying the scent of a world that has been washed clean by the night. These pots, empty and waiting, are a testament to the cycles of the garden, the seasons of planting and rest. They are humble objects, yet in this light they possess a quiet dignity. The scale is small, the view is intimate, and the feeling is one of complete, unhurried peace. This is the garden at its most honest, stripped of the drama of sun and shadow, existing simply as a collection of forms in the perfect blue quiet. Under the midday sun, the garden becomes a cathedral of green. In this small corner of the yard, the ferns have grown tall enough to create a low canopy, turning the path below into a tunnel of light and shadow. The sun is strong, but it is broken into 1,000 pieces by the delicate fronds, creating a shimmering, dappled effect on the wood chips and stones. The air here is humid and still, trapped beneath the leaves, smelling of crushed pine and damp earth. The world outside the garden is bright and harsh, but within this green enclosure, everything is softened. The scale remains domestic. The path is only a few yards long, yet it feels like a journey into a different realm. The low angle of the view emphasizes the height of the plants, making the viewer feel small and sheltered within the garden's embrace. There is no sound, only the visual vibration of the light as it moves across the textures of the path. The house is invisible from here, hidden behind the wall of green, yet its proximity is felt in the organized nature of the path. It is a managed wildness, a place where the hand of the gardener has created a space for nature to flourish in a specific, intimate way. The stillness is vibrant, a living quiet that feels full of the energy of the sun. To look down this path is to see a microcosm of the forest, brought home to a small residential lot, a place of constant, quiet wonder. Looking back toward the entrance, the garden feels like a world complete unto itself. The gate, which marked the beginning of this journey, now stands as the final boundary between the domestic peace and the world beyond. The afternoon light is warm and golden, casting long, soft shadows across the lawn and the path. The garden is in full bloom, a tapestry of greens, browns, and muted floral tones that fill the foreground. Beyond the gate, the street is a blurred, distant suggestion, its colors faded and its shapes indistinct. This contrast emphasizes the enclosure and intimacy of the home garden. It is a sanctuary, a place where the pace of life is dictated by the slow movement of light and the steady growth of leaves. The stillness is profound, a culmination of all the quiet moments that have filled the day. The house stands just out of frame, its presence a constant, steadying influence. The air is warm and still, carrying the scent of a garden that has been baking in the sun for hours. This is the final movement of the visual narrative, a return to the threshold, but with a new understanding of the peace that lies within. The garden is not just a collection of plants, it is a space of restoration, a domestic landscape that offers a respite from the noise of the world. The gate remains closed, a silent guardian of the stillness that has been found here. As the light continues to soften, the garden settles into its final, most peaceful state, a gentle domestic world that asks for nothing and gives everything.